And even after that, somehow doing that had given the devil a hold on me, and I came into a really deep pit. I was nearly depressed, nothing gave me joy anymore. Hello, my name is Ceasar Ens, I am 21 years old, and I am from Mexico. Currently, I am in Bolivia. I am here as a teacher, and I would like to share my testimony with you all. So, I grew up in a Christian home. My parents always went to church every Sunday and Wednesday, and they also participated in the church. They helped out, and as a young boy, I also wanted to live for God. And when I was about 8 years old, I also asked God to forgive me for my sins, and I wanted to do my best to live for God. But I never read the Bible, and I rarely prayed. Sometimes I would pray a little bit in the evenings, right before I went to bed, but I didn't take it too seriously. I'd always still go to the church with my parents and all, but I never really took it that seriously. I tried not to say bad words, to obey my parents and so on, but I didn't really take it all too seriously. And as I got older, I got further and further away from God. When I was about 12 or 13 years old, I completely admitted to myself that I wasn't a Christian. But before that, I said I would give it another attempt. I would try to serve God. But at the time, my friends, they weren't a great influence on me. They started swearing, telling bad and dirty jokes, and then I also just gave it up. I said, you know what, it's too hard. I'll serve God later when I'm older. Now I want to have some fun as a teenager, right? And so yeah, I just admitted to myself that I was not a Christian, and I was totally fine with that. I had no fear of death really, and I couldn't even really fathom the idea of death. It didn't scare me at all. I think God took the fear away from me because I had rejected Him a few times already. And so I got older, and by the time I was 15 and 16, I got enamored by the idea of drinking and the party life. And so I also participated in that. I started drinking, I started smoking, I got addicted to vaping. I was addicted to that for 2 years. And I remember that I also started getting enticed by the idea of doing drugs. I had done some marijuana with my friends already, but never any hard drugs. But I was hoping to change that. And me and my friend, we were planning on going to Seminole. And right before we went, my mother sent me a video. It was by a pastor by the name of Bill Weiss. And he talked about how God had shown him a vision of hell, how it was. And that spoke to me quite deeply. But I chose to reject God's calling because I wanted to go to Seminole. And I knew what we wanted to do there. And I knew that had nothing to do with God. And I was not willing to give that up just yet. I once again told God, you know what, I'm not ready yet. Wait. I will maybe serve you at some point in the future when I'm older, but I'm not ready yet. Let me enjoy my younger years. And so we did. We went to Seminole, and we did a lot of drugs. We spent 4 days just partying day and night. We were high and drunk essentially the whole time. We drank a lot, smoked, vaped, and we did quite a few other drugs as well, including cocaine and methamphetamine. And when we got back, then I finally came down, and I crashed pretty hard. And if anybody has any experience with that, they will know that you feel pretty bad afterwards. For all the happiness that you feel on the drugs, later you essentially feel depressed, you feel weak. And even after that, somehow doing that had given the devil a hold on me, and I came into a really deep pit. I was nearly depressed, nothing gave me joy anymore. And somehow every night the devil could speak to me, I felt like. And he also gave me so much anger. I was so angry at other people. I felt so helpless. And I had almost sold my soul to the devil at one point. But thankfully I didn't do that. God saved me from that. I also pray that God would help me through that time. And He did. Eventually the darkness kind of stopped. I kind of came out of it. I came back to my old self. And I thank God for that very much. But I still didn't serve God. I didn't come back entirely. I slowed down. I still did some drugs sometimes. And soon after that, I met my to-be wife. We started talking, and we started going out. And she was a Christian. She wasn't strong in her faith, but she did believe. And while we were dating, she sometimes I could always tell when she had just spent time with God. Sometimes right before I picked her up, she would spend time with God, and I always noticed because she was so happy. Her face practically glowed as happy as she was. And eventually it made me want that as well. And I also started praying to God again. And I asked him that if he hadn't given up on me, that he would give me another chance. And especially this one night, I just picked her up, and she was exceptionally happy that night. And after I had dropped her off, I just prayed to God, you know what, I want that. Could you please forgive me? Give me one more chance. Don't give up on me. And I had this absolute terror inside of me that God would not give me another chance, that it was too late for me because I had rejected him various times when he had called me, and I was just afraid that maybe it was too late for me in the end. But I spent 3 days just being in a really deep hole again. But every night I prayed and I read the Bible, and I just begged God to forgive me. I remember lying on my floor, just begging God, you know what, forgive me. I am humbling myself. I will submit to you and your will. And after 3 days of this, God finally pulled me out of that place and forgave me for my sins. And I'm very, very grateful for that. The peace and the happiness that I felt afterwards, it's indescribable. And then I realized how stupid essentially I had been before that. There was no greater joy than the joy that God can give us. And I'm so grateful that God gave me another opportunity. And now, it's a couple of years later, I think it's 2 years later, now I felt a calling that we should go to Bolivia to be here as teachers. And I had actually thought that I came here to teach the kids, maybe be a positive influence in their lives. But it turned out that God sent me here to teach me. I was actually God's student, so to speak. And he taught me so many great things. I've learned so many valuable lessons, met so many great people. And I'm very grateful that God has given me another opportunity. And I hope that this can be an encouragement for you, that you know that it is not too late, that God loves you, and that he wants to be in your life and to be a part of it. And if you trust him, he will lead you in amazing ways. You will not expect them. There will be many turns. But if you stay true to God, your life will end up in the right place. Thank you.